And you're welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our online news review. And I always do this with two of my co-hosts, in the persons of Miss Miriam Abnadidi and Mr. Nanayao Asari. So we've already said our hellos and highs, but maybe for the new viewers, what's up? What is trending these days?
A lot has been happening in Ghana, especially after President John Dramani Mahama was inaugurated, and he became the president of Ghana
once again.
There has been a lot happening on his part, as he promised to do so many things in the first 120 days, and he has started already. We've seen some scrapping of, some ministries. We've seen some appointments being, contracts actually being scrapped off as well. But 5 days ago, he appointed 3 people for the ministries of Energy, Ministry of Finance, and also that of Justice, and the Attorney General, which is doubling as one. And yesterday, the 3 of them went through their vetting. And it started with Honorable Atuforsen, where he was vetted as Minister of Finance designate. And it was an interesting session with Atuforsen. A lot of people have asserted that he is very, very intelligent and he's on top of issues. He knows what he's about. And, the appointment committee, were also up, with their game. They asked concrete questions, a lot of questions that Atuforsen asked when he was in minority. They are asking him again as he is, in the majority. And it was very interesting. And one thing that stood out for me was the fact that he said they were not going to scrap the betting tax because it doesn't significantly move the economy of Ghana. Looking at the revenue they generate from betting tax, there's no sense in scrapping it off. And he also believes that increasing taxes will not necessarily increase our revenue, but he believes in increasing compliance of these taxes. So if there is an increment in compliance of people paying their revenues and other things, he said he's going to work hand in hand with GRA to make sure that compliance is increased so that they will generate a lot of revenue for the country. And he's also very much particular about our GDP. He believes that when he becomes minister, yes, he is minister. I don't know if he's
minister designate.
Okay, so when he becomes minister, he's going to ensure that our revenue, gets to that peak. He's so much concerned about that, and it was very interesting watching him, go through and that drama that happened between him and Honorable Afenyo Makin.
Yes, I was going to even ask about it because it seems that was what a lot of people were also talking about. And some people were saying he seems to be overdoing it at this point.
Afenyo Makin.
So
well, people are saying that, and then also when it comes to these interviews, almost more often than not, the people are sort of is not seen as a formality, but the people just passed through, and almost all of them who are minister designates become ministers. So, in as much as possible, what's the other side of the caucus in Parliament, or I should say, the other side of the committee, are saying is that we know that it's going to happen in as much as possible. So what we are doing is to get as much information as we can to the public. So don't see it as though we are sort of derailing the exercise, or we are sort of maybe slowing down the process. We are trying to give you as much information as we can as possible.
And I believe they will hold them accountable if they give out the information that they are not performing.
But then again, it's also not necessarily only about what you say, it's how you say it. So maybe keeping them on their toes, getting as much information as possible, how you're going about it would prove problematic or otherwise, based on people's comments about it, because he may be getting the right information out of the person, but maybe his demeanor, his choice of words, all of that plays a role in what he's doing.
But they are actually friends. They are very, very
that's
close
the thing
friends.
about our politicians. They are friends.
They are very good
They
friends.
are friends. When you think the presidential dinner, didn't you see all these dignitaries there? They are not enemies. They will come and enjoy and celebrate
some
with you.
Some people have also raised concern about the fact that these appointments or interviews are not necessary. Just like Nana said, we know no matter what, they are just going to be ministers. So why do we take them through that process? But I think Nana has...
Yeah, so but like, for instance, what you said, Atoforsen in his interview, now we've got to understand that he said that they are going to rationalize the taxes. And they are not going to sort of introduce new taxes, but rather they are going to widen the tax net so that they can rope in a lot more people, especially in the informal sector. When you see that in Ghana, most of them are not. It's the informal sector that are not roped in when it comes to the collection of taxes. So I think they have like a strategy. So it looks as though this is the strategy that the NDC government is going to actually take when they assume office to rope in a lot more of the informal sector.
So I think I also saw a comment from somebody that they hope that as we progress, these vetting committees set up and things like that would involve the major stakeholders. So if you are a minister for, let's say, agriculture, there should be the people people with the expertise there to ask certain questions or to help you, or maybe even the person being vetted should liaise with them to find out what exactly or what kind of work he's coming to do, so that when we have situations like, we have a medical doctor being the minister for finance or something, it will not be almost like it doesn't make sense, but rather that the person has also gone to gain the knowledge and expertise to be able to work with that.
I will commend the NPP for doing a great job yesterday, because looking at the committee, for Atoforsen's session, they brought in people with finance background, people with economic background, and you could see the kind of questions they were asking Atoforsen. So that, I think they also did well by bringing in the minority
moving forward, I just hope they do same for all the others as
I mean, that has been like the standard practice when it comes to these vetting processes. For instance, you remember the famous Hawa Kumsin one when they decided, they asked her to explain what fish farming was, and then we heard all sorts of things. And so they have a lot people that are involved in the various sectors of the economy, or maybe various, or I can call them, they have technocrats that they call in to actually involve in this particular sort of exercise, and then so that it doesn't become one way, as though a medical doctor is asking questions to a finance person. So just as Mimi said, it's become a standard practice. We see a lot of them, a lot of technocrats, and these political parties have affiliates or technocrats that they work with, and then it's a common practice to see them being involved in this.
Let's also talk about the chairman's demeanor, and a lot of people were not happy about the way he handled the committee. He was shouting at some of the first-timers, the first-time MPs who were part of the committee, and even friends of the committee. The chairman was shouting at them and other things. He did also allow them to ask follow-up questions. You just ask one question and that is it. And people were not too excited about it.
I mean, it got to a time, if you watched the exercise, it became very cumbersome, and they just wanted to just have it over and done with. So I'm sure that's why the chairman was behaving in that particular manner. But usually these things are very rare to see, and I think that barring these few pockets of incidences that have occurred, I think that the chairman has handled the vetting process quite expediently, and he's been good.
So yesterday, still on the finance minister, I was wondering why nobody asked a question with regards to energy, because energy and finance, they move together.
They move hand in hand.
Finance moves hand in hand with everything.
I know, but in this current economy, energy, we all know the energy crisis we are facing and even yet to face. As President MAHAMA, it is there. As I'm talking to you, President MAHAMA is in talks with the IPP. There are so many things happening backdoor. So I was expecting questions to be asked in that regard, so that we will see how they are going to bring out some, feasible solutions to solve the problem.
Maybe
When they are going to
they
get
want
the money.
to tell you all now so that they can tell us.
The
Well,
finance
and
minister.
then also because John Jinapor was going to be also interviewed because energy was right next after finance. So because he was going to be interviewed, they felt that maybe it's just right that we direct all energy questions to John Jinapor, which they did, which brings us to the next person that was interviewed. That's John Jinapor on energy issues and then the sort of looming crisis that is ahead, that is impending crisis that we say that it's coming. And then he gave very good answers to them as well, saying that the MPP did not leave enough liquid fuel to be able to use to process electricity for us for a longer period of time. I think they mentioned he mentioned 5 hours, but later it was corrected to be maybe 23 days. But still, that is not enough considering the time of the year that we are in, businesses running and all that. So these were some of the few things that happened. And then after, Dominic Ayine was also interviewed for the position of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General's Department. And I must say I was personally impressed with this particular one. So questions concerning conflicts of interest and all that were asked concerning him, whether he represented ECG or he represented PDS in the deals. And then he made it blatantly clear that he didn't represent PDS, but he represented ECG. PDS contacted him, but because of political reasons and then due to certain reasons that is best known to himself and national reasons, he decided not to take on the PDS case. And then he said also the ECG and then maybe that transcends to the government of Ghana is also owing him some invoices that they've not yet been paid. So I'm sure when they give him that money, he'll be sure to bring us our share.
So let's go quickly to our digitalized newspapers.
I have one trending story that we need to talk about.
We need to keep it brief so we can quickly delve into
I think we have a video of that. Yesterday, we saw the statue of former President Nana Akufo-Addo being vandalized. I don't know if the video is ready, if we can have a look at it. Some people went to destroy.
I didn't know it was to this extent, but
it was quite bad. I think I saw a photo of his face just in the ground.
And some are even asking why he's still smiling.
It's a statue. That was how it was cast.
So we have to be very, very. We have to condemn all forms of destruction of national property, because this is what our hard-earned taxpayers' money has been used to create in memorial of that is.
And a resident was even interviewed, and he was. A resident was interviewed, and he was saying it is normal. It is something that they do, so they don't really see anything new about this. And that is my concern. When did we get here as Ghanaians? Because growing up, we were told to, respect elders.
Respect these things.
So when did we get, or how did we get here?
I think also it is a reflection of Ghanaian sentiment towards our former president and his administration. And this is not to justify or anything of the sort, but I don't think people would have gone to this extent knowing very well. I think I saw certain comments. Somebody said he also, sort of destroyed the La General Hospital. So if they have destroyed his statue, say it's draw or something, people trying to make jest out of this. But I think to an extent, as much as it is not supposed to be condoned, it is a reflection of how Ghanaians felt towards him. Because I think even at the time the statue was put up, there were lots of comments that were not in favor of this, because even look at the roundabout, it's not even been fully developed. The roads are not in the best shape, but then there is money to put up a statue. So it's like two sides of one coin, and we can't talk about one without the other.
But we really have to condemn this.
Yeah, of course, this is vandalism.
Exactly, and look at what happened post-elections 2024. People went to destroy, government properties, buildings, ballot papers, ballot boxes, and they are still there. Nothing has been done. I mean, where are we going as a country? we have to really condemn this disrespect to leadership and authority. So that's the trending news.
Okay.
And
Thank
also,
you.
there's one final one. It's about Karen
It's
Bass.
a new year.
It's about Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, California, who was here to attend John Mahama's inauguration. He was sent by the White House to come and attend this particular inauguration.
Wow.
And she's been bashed because just before she left Los Angeles to come to Ghana, there were concerns on weather safety and then fires in Los Angeles. But according to reports, she didn't take heed, or she didn't pay much attention to it, and she came to Ghana for the inauguration. She left last Wednesday, but still it's been seen as though she neglected her first responsibility, and then she's also been bashed for it. So it's something that's been seriously talked about in the US and Ghana. When you check trending stories in the US, you know that Ghana is number one because there's been over 25,000 acres of land and property running into excess of 57 billion United States dollars that have been destroyed. And then this particular person is supposed to have been said has cut down the budget for these firefighters and all those things. When she got to Congress, she cut down the budget for firefighters and emergency responses because she thought it wasn't really much of an issue. And then now this happens this year, and then she's also not in the country. She stays out till Wednesday.
But then also that's why there are systems. So yeah, she is the mayor, but I don't think they were expecting that she would also be part of the firefighters to fight the fires. There are systems and structures that have been put in place. So maybe she gave the go-ahead as to what these stakeholders are supposed to do, whether in her absence or in her presence. Because just like we cry about our roads and development and we are calling on the MPs don't have developmental roles. They are going to lobby for projects and things like that, but that is a role of a different structure also in our constituency.
That's very true. But you know, these people think quite differently from
all
the way
of us, actually.
the way a lot of us think. And they are saying that we voted for you to be with us in times of distress. And then now, when it's time, the biggest fire disaster, some are even equating it to the Chicago fire disaster some time back. And this is one of the biggest fire disasters in world history, talk less of only America. And now properties, over $57 billion worth of properties are being destroyed. And then we see that you are not around, not only for the day of the inauguration, but after the day of the inauguration until Wednesday. That was when she actually went back. So they feel as though we voted for you to be with us in times of joy and then in times of sorrow. Now, these are people who are looking up to you, and then now you are not around and you are saying that you've given instructions. It looks as though you are running when the heat is on, and literally speaking, the heat was on.
Well, I mean, her presence was not going to also change anything.
Exactly.
She's also here in solidarity with, this is all part of foreign policy, Ghana's foreign policy to the US and vice versa. So if, as a representative of the US, she has been chosen to come in, represent the US, and then congratulate, celebrate with the new president of Ghana, that is also a role she must fulfill. Because tomorrow, if US wants to do something for Ghana and then, you know, it comes out that, well, you people didn't even on our invitation to come and celebrate with our new president's inauguration and all of that. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say that it was right or wrong, but let us try to draw some balance and then maybe cut her some slack. Now she's back with you. What is she doing about the situation? That is where the focus should be now, right?
But you know, in as much as possible, once you're a leader and you're elected, during crisis, that is when sort of your leadership skills are actually seen or exhibited. And this was a point where she was also supposed to be in solidarity with them and to commiserate with families that have lost their loved ones, to help in evacuation and give like first-hand orders, people to see her just being around, you know, just seeing, imagine something like that, God forbid, happens in and around where we are, or maybe even in your vicinity or locality, and then the Kantamanto incident, and then the MP elect or the MP is nowhere to be found. He's in the United States having fun, or not because it's seen as though you're having fun. Although
traveling, some people see traveling to be fun.
It is an international role. It is a role you are playing. So,
but then
I
you
mean,
need to sort of
yes,
set your priorities right.
But
Your house is burning, but you are going for inauguration
so
party.
if also this also affects the relationship between Ghana and the US in the long run, where she wasn't.
Well, the people of LA are saying that it would have been understood if she couldn't have if she didn't heeded to the invitation, and if she didn't heed to the invitation, what did I say? if she didn't heed to the invitation,
she came before
she came on Saturday. The fire started on Saturday, and prior to that, there were warnings, and then she still ignored and came. So that's their anger.
Okay, well, we hope that they are able to sort out their issues now. She's back home with them. So let's go quickly into our digitalized newspapers and read the front pages. And
Yeah, I have with me today's daily graphic, and so we still have Honorable Ato Forsen making headlines here as Finance Minister designates promises economic relief, e-levy betting tax to go. So just as I said earlier, let me read something small. The Minister of Finance designates Dr. Kasil Ato Ba Forsen has stated that his topmost priorities will be to work very hard to lower prices, stabilize the Ghana cedi, and create jobs towards lowering the cost of living for Ghanaians. He said, he said in the short term, the government would anchor prices on the careful cutting of wasteful expenditure and fiscal consolidation while protecting growth and the vulnerable. In addition, he said there is an urgent need to reduce inflation by tackling food inflation. So that is Finance Minister designates Honorable Ato Forsen there speaking about it. But some people have also raised concerns that when it comes to speaking, we are good. Ghanaians, we are very good. Like, analyzing issues, critically bringing ideas on board, solutions. We are very good. But when you are put on the field, it is a whole, different ball.
yeah.
Nana,
I mean,
do you think it's true?
Well, there's one thing to actually know your job, and then there's another thing to actually do the job. Ghanaians, and for instance, let me say the former vice president who gave a lecture on how to restore the economy,
yes.
and then when he was made vice president, and then by the chairman of the Economic Management Committee of Ghana. So we actually saw that exchange rates went down. He made statements like when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And I don't know, we saw that in play. So we saw that the fundamentals of our economy were weak. But so there is one thing to talk about the job, and then there's another thing to do the job. And now it looks as though from the results of the polls, Ghanaians are much more vigilant now to see that talk na do. Once you talk, you make sure that you're doing it, and then that's what we are.
That is why some Ghanaians are also, bashing President John Dramani Mahama. Despite the fact that he's scrapping off some ministries and also sacking people here and there, people are like, Oga, Oga, do the job. We voted for you to come and change Ghana.
I mean, yes. We'll start from a point. Yes.
But Ghanaians want to see the change they voted for, not what he's doing. So,
but he says he has a social contract with us for the first 100 days that he assumes office, and he just started. So, and in that he said he was going to rationalize taxes, and looking at he was going to make sure that we have stable energy and all that. Looking at the period that he set for that particular thing, and looking at the sort of the timeliness of the appointments, and then the operation Recover All Loot. So when you look at all these things and the social contracts that he said he had, and looking at the appointment, I think that they fall in line. So he's appointed Minister of Justice and Attorney General, which is in line with Operation Recover All Loot.
Merging of some
we will come to our president very soon in the online story. So let's go to your digitalized newspaper. Which of them is it? Which one was yours? Daily Graphic.
Yeah, so mine was the Daily Guide. I'm sure it should be on our screens shortly. they're quite interesting ones. But me being a sports person,
Oh, okay. Yours was graphic sports, actually.
graphic sports, yes. So me being a sports person, I'm sure that it's
you'll
going
be
to
giving us sports.
Yes, and there's this one saying that Karela turned to Amadou Legon City's gamble on the champion. So these two people are coaches who are seen to be saviors of their respective clubs that are looking to sign them. A champion is one that is touted to go and then replace the Legon City's coach who is there. Legon Cities are currently struggling in the Ghana Premier League. Karela also sort of not up to their main standards. I mean, they always finish around the maybe top half or middle part of the table, but this time around it looks as though they are languishing just above the relegation zone, and they are turning to Coach Amadou, who is an experienced coach. He's coached Ashanti Gold, he's coached other teams and all that. So these are the two coaches that they are looking at to actually salvage their club's positions. And then there's also this story on Golden Satellites land 1.26 million Ghana cedis payday. And talking about payday, we are going to talk about the 15 or the players that won the 2009 World Cup, under 20 World Cup for Ghana, the likes of 2009 in Egypt. You remember that?
So are they now being paid for it?
So they were given cars, they were given a lot of things for them.
Okay.
And then in that particular regard, the cars that they were given, and John Evans Atamils, the president at the time, made an investment for them of 10,000 Ghana cedis to mature in 15 years, which is supposed to be this particular year.
Okay.
And then they were told that at maturity, they are going to receive 163,000 Ghana cedis. That's at maturity. 15 of the players have gone for theirs out of the 23-man squad. 15 of the players have gone for theirs. And then when they went, they were giving 60,000 Ghana cedis only after 15 years of investment. And then after inquiring, 60,000 each. So it was 10,000 each for each player, and then it was invested, placed in government bonds for 15 years for it to mature. And now they go back and then they are going to take their 163,000 Ghana cedis because it was a zero coupon bond that they are going to actually recoup their benefits from. So now when they go, they went to the bank to go and give them the checks that they were given was for 60,000 Ghana cedis each. They inquired, and then the banks tell them that you've been affected by haircuts. So the players, haircuts. And some was also used to purchase insurance. And if you're insuring investment, especially government bonds, which are seen to be risk-free, then that means you're supposed to sort of have some guaranteed returns or returns that are being guaranteed. The likes of Emmanuel Ajimambedu, the likes of Andre Dede Ayew have said, Andre Dede Ayew was the captain of the time as well, has said that the rest of the players that haven't gone for this should halt until they do some investigation into the matter to make sure that they recover everything that has been in there. So that's what I can say is happening in the world of sports at the moment. The other stories, but
I'm sure
we'll get into details with them.
Bring that during your segment. So we have a few comments here. So Michael Amweni says, "Good morning, Clock TV. We are glad to have Coco Digest back on our screens. Wishing you and your crew a happy new year. Happy New Year to you too." Now, Obiba Olsen says, "Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy New Year to you all. A happy New Year to you, our most cherished commenter." And he also says here again, good morning to you all. Happy New Year to you all. I pray for you for grace and wisdom to diligently discharge your duties for the betterment of the nation. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. And you can keep them coming in to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screens. So for the online news, the very first story here says, Ejura Divisional Council condemns police station attack and calls for arrest of suspects. Now, it says here, the Ejura Divisional Council, has condemned the recent attack on the Ejura District's Police Command and is calling for the quick arrest and prosecution of those involved. The arrest in Ejura followed the death of a 26-year-old man, Shaibu Masaudu, leading to the burning of the police station, vehicles, and private properties. Now, Masaudu, who was held by the police on suspicion of phone theft, died at the Ejura Government Hospital after experiencing stomach pain and vomiting while in custody.
Very sad story.
So it seems, I think from what we read to the young man, Ejura. So the young man was in police custody and had some discomfort, and the police did not attend to him quickly by taking him to the hospital early enough, and then he died. And when he died too, his family was also not alerted, and apparently they said his body was also just disposed of in the bush. So this seemed to have caused some sort of outrage in the community. So I think this is why the people also reacted this way.
It's a very sad story. When I read it, I felt very bad, and this is not the first time this is happening. When it comes to handling of suspects, the Ghana police, I don't know if they are trained in a way to really make the person feel very bad or to manhandle the person, the suspect. They should really tell us how they handle suspects, because I know if someone has committed a crime, you just come for the person, arrest the person until the person is taken to court or has gone through the legal processes. You cannot manhandle the person or take actions into your own hands and deal with the person in the way you want. Looking at this, they didn't pay attention to the person's health condition. They didn't, attend to the person in any way. All they knew was we've arrested someone, and so the person has been sent to jail.
And I've actually also heard, people's accounts of their experiences in prison or in jail. Even maybe, let me just use even these protesters, the recent Stop Galamsey or End Galamsey now. And you can tell from their accounts that they are treated very harshly in these cells. And it begs the question, yes, they are probably criminals or suspects, but does that mean they are supposed to be subjected to inhumane practices? Because this has led to the death of somebody, and maybe, yes, he is a suspect. As to whether he was actually guilty of stealing the phone, that has not yet been declared, but he has lost his life to something that could have been prevented. And
that is what is making a lot of people not, have trust in the police or other security services, because it looks as if they take the laws into their own hands. Because they are security personnel, they can do anything at any time to anyone, which is so bad. And you gave a very relevant example, the Stop Galamsey protest. We saw how people were being handled, how people were even arrested for not doing anything. And because the person is in a police uniform, you just have to obey and then follow the person.
Obey before complain, that's how they call it.
And then they'll tell you it is an order from above.
Let me just cut this before it becomes a very long conversation. So the second story is about President Mahama, as we were talking about earlier. And this one says, President Mahama dissolves and plans reconstitution of statutory boards and councils. So in accordance with the Presidential Transition Act 2012, that's Act 845, President John Dramani Mahama has dissolved all statutory boards, corporations, commissions, and councils that were appointed by the previous administration. Now, yesterday, Felix Kwachi Ofosu, the acting presidential spokesperson, announced the announcement in a statement. Now, the dissolution went into force on January 7, 2025, the day the president took office, and that was what the announcement also explained. And so I quote, in accordance with the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845, all members of statutory boards, corporations, commissions, and councils appointed by the former president or a former minister of state ceased to hold office on January 7, 2025, following the assumption of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, the statement read. Now, the notice made it clear that all the directive does not apply to independent constitutional commissions, and additionally, it guaranteed that the impacted businesses, boards, and commissions and councils would be reorganized in compliance with the applicable enabling laws.
Yeah. Before we come to the story.
So it's not like he's sacking people. It is constitutional.
I understand, but please let me make this clear that we are not in support of, the arson that happened, the destruction of the police station. We have to make it clear so that they will not say we are justifying.
No, it is not justified. Because it's, again, two sides. Police negligence and then our, is it mob action? Yes. Vandalism and taking the law into their own hands, which should be condemned. And then the police that had, in whose custody the guy was, should also face some punishment or some sanctions or something. So yes, boards and commissions have been dissolved. Miriam, you were saying President Mahama is sacking people.
No.
So this particular one is in line with Section 14 of the same Act, which says that Section 14 of the Act 845 of the Presidential Transition Act 2012, and it says that without limiting the effect of any other enactment, the following persons shall cease to hold office upon the assumption of office of the person elected as president. So it says that once a new president is elected, ministers and deputy ministers shall cease to hold office, regional ministers and deputy regional ministers. And then it says that persons appointed by the president or minister of state as members of statutory boards and corporations. So that's one that we saw the communique on. And then we also saw this one, D, persons appointed by the president or minister of state as members of councils, including governing bodies of public universities and related institutions. And E, appointed by the president or minister of state as members of commissions established by the Constitution or by an act of parliament. So with this particular one, there are two sides to the coin. Now, when you compare that to the statement by the Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, the acting spokesperson of President John Dramani Mahama, which says that every person that is part of a statutory board is supposed to be, ceases to hold office as per the Presidential Act. Now, we need to sort of differentiate between the people that are holding the positions on the statutory board. Some of them are maybe elected as by virtue of being a member of a particular thing. For instance, union heads and all that hold certain positions in certain statutory boards. Now, these positions are not appointed by the president. So now I think the statement wasn't really clear. There should have been a clear distinction of those who are appointed by presidents and ministers, because that's what the Act states.
It was declared here, because when I read it, it says that in accordance with the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845, all members of statutory boards, corporations, commissions, and councils appointed by the former president or a former minister of state.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So then that once that clarity is done, then I think this particular one is in accordance with the Act. But another thing that we have to also look at in doing this is also this particular part of the Act. Is it supposed to be looked at again, or is supposed to be sort of, because until there's like a smooth transition, now ongoing projects have been stalled. Now it looks as though public institutions are being politicized. That's also another thing.
And then also people's parents and
Oh no, but that one, even apart from that, the public institutions.
There just needs to be some continuity.
Yes, because there'll be lots of institutional memory.
Governments, that's all.
There will be lots of institutional memory. Statutory boards and then people appointed now will no longer be serving those positions, and then
those who are brought will now come and continue the work that was left.
So that more often than not, that's not the case.
Well,
there's some sort of institutional memory that is lost. So there should be, I think, that this should be amended in such a way that there should be. In as much as possible, a transition process. So it should be included in maybe the transition team as part of the project of the transition teams as well.
Okay.
So that's what I'm actually thinking.
All right. So let me take a quick comment, then we wrap up. So this one is from Ni Otu. He says, "Good morning, Yaira. You always look sweet in the color blue. I'm happy to see you guys back on the screen. Happy New Year to Cocoa Digest team. Thank you for your comments. And yeah, so this brings us to the end of the online news review. Next is the lifestyle segment. Miss Miriam, what are we to expect on the lifestyle segment?
So just as I said earlier, we are discussing intentions or setting intentions for the new year. And so we want to walk our viewers through a very intentional, plan for the new year. So that is what we will be doing on the lifestyle segment. And my guests, he's been here before. I don't want to mention his name.
Please rest
I really after we had the poster put up and everything.
No. Our poster was not out. It's a surprise.
Okay.
And so our viewers, they need to stick with us because it promises to be engaging.
So you heard it from the horse's own mouth. Stick and stay with us here. Right after this break is the lifestyle segment with Miriam Abna Didi and his special guest.